paper.
Right, no binder of music.
Is it
How are you?
Okay.
Good. Good.
Mossing.
Tired.
Here it is.
They are. This one felt because of, I think partly because I worked 4 out of 5 nights,
Oh, yeah.
so it was
And
like
you're like
really long
yeah.
days. So this I had like no respite.
Okay.
So very,
I'm
very
off page.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's Massang? Is that what this is?
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, great.
I'll just say those. Okay. So then, yeah, it's when we do, yeah, this one, yeah. And then you want to do, or I guess the congregation will just do hanging your own songs. Um,
And then,
so between each, you want to practice it?
yeah,
Okay.
let's back
Okay.
up because then we'll do
Yeah. All right. All the music. Wait, can I try that? Okay.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's wonderful to be together as we celebrate Shabbat, and we're all here for different reasons tonight. Some of us are here for a moment of celebration and joy, and some of us are here observing a yard site, or because we are sitting Shiva, or in the period of Shloshim. And I hope as we have this Shabbat service and move through our service tonight as a community, we can hold one another for all of the different things that we are bringing into this space. As we welcome Shabbat into our midst this evening, we bid farewell to the holiday of Purim, a day of joy and triumph for the Jewish people. As many of you know, the story of Purim takes place in Persia, which is current-day Iran, around the 4th century BCE. Our heroine, Esther, is a Jewish woman who marries the Persian king and ends a truly evil plot to annihilate the Jews of the Persian diaspora community. It's a story of resilience, pride, and courage. For me, as a rabbi, one of the most interesting parts of the book of Esther is something that it does not contain: the name of God. God is not mentioned once in the entire Megillat Esther. Unlike many other stories in the Hebrew Bible, which tell of the Jewish people rising up to defeat their enemies against all odds, because God was on their side. So every year I ask myself, where is God in the story of Esther? Just conspicuously missing, nowhere to be found? Perhaps God is not gone, but just hidden, as the rabbis teach us. After all, the root of the word Esther in Hebrew means to conceal or hide. Perhaps God can be found in the strength and courage of Queen Esther, in her dedication to the Jewish people. And perhaps God can be found in the wisdom of her uncle Mordecai, in his humility and awareness that Esther has actually become the queen for a time such as this. And perhaps God can be found in the way we come together as a community, thousands of years later, to tell the story of our people. To remember both the danger of being an oppressed people and also the danger of having power and abusing it. God's hiddenness in Megillat Esther is a good reminder to us that God is here as well. even in moments when we may feel that God is hiding. During these days that continue to feel heavy and confusing, may we bring this reminder with us. May we know that God is not absent. We just might have to look a little bit harder to find God in these moments. I want to thank Jeff Osterer, who is here on behalf of the Board of Trustees. Thank you so much, Jeff. And I want to thank Olivia Balin, who is running Visual Tefillah. And thank you to Joanne Pass, who is here from our staff. If you have any questions, please direct them to Joanne. She can help you. Joanne, will you wave so everyone can see you? Thanks, Joanne. And we are going to continue our service with our Shabbat candles and our Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodesho be'ahava v'ratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי באנו בחרת מאותנו קידשת מכל עמים, ושבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדיש השבת. L'chaim. We continue now with our Psalms of Kabbalat Shabbat. Let us sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God a new song. Yai la la, yai la la, yai la la, yai la 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 la, yai la la, yai la la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la. God, sing unto God a new song. Let us sing unto God, sing unto God a new song. Yai la la, yai la la, yai la la, yai la 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 la, yai la la, yai la la, yai la la la, yai la 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 la, yai la 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 la, שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. ספרו בגויים כבודו, וכל העמים נפלאותיו, כי גדול אדוני ומעולם מאוד, נורא הוא על כל אלוהים. שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בשרו מיום ליום ישועתו. אור זרוע לצדיק וישראל לשמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק וישראל לשמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק וישראל לשמחה. וישראל לשמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק וישראל לשמחה. וישראל לשמחה. יאי לי 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 יאי זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור בקול זמרה, בחצוצרות בקול שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירום הים ומלואו, הבל ויושביה. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו. ירום הים ומלואו, הבל ויושביה. נהרות ימחאו כף יחד, הרים ירננו. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד.
kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha, sof maaseh b'machshavat tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
Hidoreri, kiva orech, kumiori. Kevod Adonai alayich nigla, lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
Please rise as we face the entrance to our sanctuary and together greet Shabbat.
Bori v'shalom, ateret ma'ala, gam besimcha u'betzola. Toch emune, am segula, bori chala, lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pene Shabbat nekabela.
Having greeted Shabbat together, let's greet one another. Turn to all the people around you, wish them Shabbat Shalom. Find someone maybe you don't know or haven't seen in a while. Reach across the aisles, wish them Shabbat Shalom.
Is he tied Israel?
He's in England. His mom, his aunt passed away.
Oh, his aunt?
Yeah, he's
Not his mom?
no, God forbid.
Yeah. Okay, I'm really glad you said that.
No, it's not his mom.
Okay, we need to
God
go on
forbid. His
name.
dad passed away
Right.
last year, and the sister of the dad passed away.
It's the aunt. Okay, I'm gonna make that. Someone got it wrong.
Don't kill his sweet mom.
It's good.
Please be seated. As we are still in the joy of Kabbalat Shabbat, as we have welcomed our Sabbath bride and greeted one another, I would like to welcome the newest member of our Jewish community, Juanita Goldstein, to come up to the bima, and Corey, if you'll come up with her. Maybe we should be right here so that, let's stay right here because then everyone can see us. Otherwise, we're going to be blocked. So Juanita just finished her journey toward choosing Judaism with us. And we went to the mikveh yesterday, and it was and amazing and uplifting and absolutely beautiful experience.
Yes, we were saying that, I mean, in 26 years, I've never been to a Beit Din where all the rabbis were also crying. It was tears of joy.
It was a beautiful moment, and we are so proud, Juanita, to welcome you to the Jewish people and into our millennia-old covenant with the eternal our God. Juanita, you are such a joy to be around. You are so thoughtful, and you embody so many sacred Jewish values that you've had in you this whole time. The value of mishpacha, of family, of chesed, loving kindness, and anava, deep humility. We as a Jewish people are so blessed to welcome you into our midst, and we as a Shari Tefillah community are so happy to share this simcha with you, with Corey, and with your families and friends who are here today. I'm going to now offer you a Mishaberach blessing and announce your Hebrew name to the congregation. And then the three of us would like to offer you a blessing as well. Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, ve'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, ve'Leah, hu yivarech et achotenu, Chanya, bat Avraham Avinu ve'Sarah imenu. Bevo'a lehistapeach, benachalat Yisrael, ולהימנות אל גרי הצדק בתוך עם אלוהי אברהם ושרה. יהי רצונו שיצליח בדרכה ותראה בכל מעשה ידיה, ונאמר Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, bless Chanya, bat Avraham v'Sarah, Juanita Goldstein, who has cast her lot with the people Israel. She is a ger tzedek among the people of God, of the God of Abraham and Sarah. May she prosper in all her worthy endeavors, and may the work of her hands be blessed. And together we say, Amen. May God strengthen you, Juanita, in the solemn commitment that you have made to become a Jew. As a rabbi, and with the consent of this entire congregation who serve as witnesses to this moment, I welcome you warmly and joyously into our tradition and into the peoplehood of Israel. And now, Rabbi Masbacher and Emily and I would like to offer you and Corey the most ancient blessing in our tradition, the priestly benediction. And I'm going to wrap you in my talit right here. Actually, Corey, you're tall. There we go. May God bless you, and may God keep you.
May the Holy One of blessing lift God's face to you ever and ever be gracious to you.
May you always feel God's presence within you, and may you be blessed with the greatest gift of all, the gift of shalom, of wholeness, and of peace. And together we say, Ken Yehi Ratzon. Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tovu, Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tovu, Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Simen Tovu, Yehelanu, 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 Ulechol Yisrael, Mazel Tovu, Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulechol Yisrael, Simen Tovu, Mazel Tovu, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Simen Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel
Mazel tov and welcome, Juanita. We are going to invite you please to stand as we continue now with our call to worship, Baruch Hu. Please be seated. These sometimes feel like such difficult days, and in difficult times we can look to art for inspiration. So here in this place, a poem by Nikita Gill called Reasons to Live Through the Apocalypse. Sunrises, people you have still to meet and laugh with. Songs about love, peace, anger, and revolution. Walks in the woods. The smile you exchange with a stranger when you experience beauty accidentally together. Butterflies, seeing your grandparents again. The moon in all her forms, whether half or full. Dogs, birthdays, half birthdays. That feeling of floating in love. Watching birds eat from bird feeders. The waves of happiness that follow the end of sadness. Brown eyes. Watching a boat cross an empty sea, sunsets, dipping your feet in the river, balconies, cake, the wind in your face when you roll the car window down on an open highway, falling asleep to the sound of a steady heartbeat, warm cups of tea on cold days, hugs, night skies, art museums, books filled with everything you do not yet know, long conversations, long-lost friends, poetry. Baruch atah Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God. You love your people, Israel.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu ha'devarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha uv'lechtecha b'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha וקשרתם להות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
It seems like we've had our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, forever, but it was created in the mid-1990s. For some people in the room, maybe that's the only prayer book you remember, Mishkan Tefillah. But before that, there was Gates of Prayer. That was the prayer book I grew up with, or as in rabbinical school, we called it Gates of Blue. It was that big, blue, chunky prayer book, and there were prayer books before that in the Reform movement, all the way back to the prayer book that was the first Reformed prayer book in the United States was called Minhag America, because Isaac Mayer Wise didn't think he was creating Reform Judaism in the United States. He had this audacious view, this audacious idea. He was just creating American Judaism. But I found, I was going back through a prayer book that I grew up with, Gates of Prayer, and I found this reading in one of the 10 Friday night services in that book that marks the bridge between Ve'ahavta and Michamocha, and here's what it says. True it is that Adonai is our God, there is none else. God's might gives power to the sun. God's love brings warmth to the human heart. God is one, our creator who made us one family on earth. Wherever we fight for freedom, God is with us, as God was with our people when we struggled to break the chains that bound us to Egypt. God, our creator, teach us to love freedom as we love life. Make us understand that only when all are free can we be free. Let none be masters and none be slaves. Then shall we sing as our people did when they were freed from Pharaoh's grip.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו Hashkidenu השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We turn now to Tefillah. We invite you please to rise as you are able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot Ve'imahot, U'mevii Geula Livnei V'neihem, Le'ma'an Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer, U'moshia U'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham be'ezrat Sarah. Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol, Atah rav lehoshia, Mashiv haruach, U'morid hagashem, Mechalkeh chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח עם ישוע, ונאמנת להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You may be seated. We'll continue now with a few moments of silent prayer and silent reflection.
See if I can get this music stand up a little higher. A few weeks ago in our cycle of weekly Torah portions, we read of the giving of the 10 Commandments by God to Moses and the Jewish people at Mount Sinai. And in this week's Torah portion, Ki Tisa, we read of the impatience of the Israelites as they wait for Moses to come down from the mountain with the rest of the Torah. They were afraid. They had just left Egypt. They weren't sure whether Moses was coming back. And from that place of fear, the Israelites built a golden calf to worship. Having just heard the words from God directly, "You shall have no other gods before me," they built an idol and offered sacrifices to it. The Torah reports that God and Moses hear the shouts and celebrations of the Israelites dancing and partying around the golden calf, and God sends Moses back down the mountain to face the people and to stop them from their sin. The Torah text tells us that when Moses saw the golden calf upon descending from the mountain, that he smashed the tablets of the 10 Commandments. There is a midrash from the 8th century CE that reimagines this scene ever so slightly. The midrash says that as Moses descended from the mountain, he was easily able to carry these massive, presumably heavy stone tablets, not because he was buff like Charlton Heston, but because while the words of the eternal living God were inscribed on the tablets, the stones felt light as a feather to Moses. But when he saw the Israelites making the golden calf, when he saw them treating the words on the tablets like they didn't matter, the sacred Hebrew letters flew off of the tablets back up to heaven, and the stones became heavy. And Moses, crying so hard from seeing the loss of faith of the Israelites, lost his grip on the tablets, and they crashed to the ground. I thought of this midrash this week as the news cycle unfolded, as a clash of values came to the forefront of the Jewish people and of American society. I imagine you probably have heard about Mahmoud Khalil. He is a Columbia University graduate and lawful permanent resident of the United States who engaged in heated criticism of Israel and in support of Hamas. And he led protests at Columbia University in the last difficult and painful year. This past week, as you also probably know, Immigration and Customs Enforcement, known as ICE, arrested Mr. Khalil, and the Trump administration stated its intent to revoke his green card and deport him on the grounds that he allegedly led activities aligned with Hamas. A judge here in New York, a judge who happens to be Jewish, by the way, temporarily barred the deportation pending further review of the constitutionality of the government's actions. Now, I want to be clear with you. The more I learn about Mahmoud Khalil, the angrier I get. The more I hear about him, the more I detest everything he seems to stand for politically. Let's review for a moment his actions as they have been reported. Mr. Khalil was a part of a group that barged onto the Columbia campus without permission. The campus is not open to non-students without a pass. And then he was a part of a group that took over the library for several hours. The group that Khalil was a part of handed out leaflets stamped by Hamas, among other things, and they put up a poster on the wall of Yahya Sinwar. The material the students distributed celebrated the massacre of Israelis. They handed out flyers that featured, among other things, a giant jackboot stomping on the Star of David. Khalil is one of the leaders of Columbia University Apartheid Divest, a leading pro-Hamas group at the school. He often used language about freeing Palestine, quote, by any means necessary. So Khalil is no hero. I've read some articles and posts that make him seem like some kind of martyr for the cause of justice in the world. In my opinion, no definition of the words martyr or justice apply to this man. Everything I've heard about his activities at Columbia makes my blood boil. And if he committed a felony, he should be charged. And since the Immigration Act of 1952, which ironically was passed in part to keep Jews out of America because they might be under the influence of the Soviets, but that's a story for another sermon. But since the Immigration Act of 1952 allows for permanent residency to be revoked for felony charges, if Mr. Khalil committed a felony, he should be deported. Now, Khalil was in the United States on a green card as a permanent resident. And that law from 1952 is clear on this point. Permanent residency can be revoked for certain felony charges, not for misdemeanors. And the law requires due process. ICE can't just come in and haul someone off to detention without charging the person with a crime. But that is exactly what ICE did this week. The federal government has provided no evidence that Mahmoud Khalil has committed a felony offense unless something has changed since services began. He was swept up by ICE and moved to a jail in Louisiana, far away from his wife, who is 8 months pregnant. As of the last I heard, he has not been allowed to speak to his lawyers in private, and no charges at all have been filed against him. I don't agree with anything Mr. Khalil has said or done vis-a-vis Israel. I truly abhor what he has said, in fact. And here's the thing, though. When it comes to the kind of due process that the Constitution grants every resident of this country, my hatred of his words don't matter at all. And words alone have never been the legitimate basis for deporting legal residents. In the 1920s, a man named J.M. Neer was a viciously racist, anti-Catholic, and anti-Semitic equal opportunity newspaper publisher whose rag was suppressed under a Minnesota law forbidding, quote, malicious or scandalous newspapers. Neer's paper had made false accusations about local officials, including the police chief and the governor, claiming they were corrupt and claiming that Jewish American organized crime was, quote, practically ruling the city. Neer's case went all the way to the United States Supreme Court. In its ruling on the case, the court forbade such prior restraints, not because it liked Neer, but on the basis that if the Constitution only applies to people you like, it isn't a constitution for all residents of the country. According to the law, Mr. Khalil is entitled to due process. He should be able to hear the charges against him, present his case, and defend himself before any deportation were to take place. Saying despicable things, and that's what Khalil has done, does not make him automatically deportable. I'm guessing that if each of us in this room were totally honest, we wouldn't want to live in a country where the government unlawfully arrests and imprisons its lawful inhabitants, never to be heard of again. My friends, there is so much work to do in this country to combat anti-Semitism, the understatement of the century. And we should be engaged in that work intensively. As my friend and teacher, Rabbi Jill Jacobs, wrote this week, quote, the rise in anti-Semitism is real and requires a robust response from civil society, campus leaders, elected officials, and, when appropriate, law enforcement. But that response must not involve dismantling the foundations of democracy. Backing the Trump administration's assault on free speech, she writes, is a short-sighted move that will ultimately leave Jews and all other minority groups less safe. We have flourished in this country, in part because of its civil rights and civil liberties protections. Working to preserve those protections is the single most important thing organizations that fight anti-Semitism can do right now to keep Jews safe. If Mahmoud Khalil is deported without due process, if he is not given the opportunity to fight his deportation as the law demands, Jews should be very afraid. Because if this administration is allowed to deport people who say things it doesn't approve of, it's not a long leap to the administration deporting anyone with a green card, no matter who they are. And if they can do that to a permanent resident without due process, it's a short leap to them being able to do it to citizens like you and me. Hate Mohammed Khalil's words. Go ahead. I do. Join me then and educating our kids and engaging with people you disagree with and sharing your sacred story and listening to theirs, even if it makes you angry. That's the way to change hearts and minds. Be deeply concerned about anti-Semitism and protests on college campuses. I am very concerned. Support organizations that combat hate speech of all kinds in ways that respect the Constitution. If officials in Washington are truly committed to taking serious steps towards reducing anti-Semitism and hate, they should start by immediately stopping their 2-month-old efforts to defund the Office of Civil Rights, which, among other things, is tasked with fighting anti-Semitism in America. They should also stop fawning over the wealthiest and most powerful man in the world, who himself supports the neo-Nazi party in Germany and who has repeatedly used the Nazi salute. And no, a Heil Hitler is not just an awkward gesture, as some have suggested. Those same anti-Semitism warriors in DC should stop amplifying Nazi-era imagery of the Jewish billionaire controlling the purse strings of the government and stop retweeting the words of hard-right anti-Semitic influencers. If leaders in Washington really mean to effectively stop anti-Semitism, they could start with these seemingly self-evident steps, because their bad decisions in these regards in the last 2 months themselves constitute a form of anti-Semitism. As Rabbi Sharon Brous recently said, what may today feel like a warm embrace may ultimately put us in graver danger. It seems that we Jews, Rabbi Brous writes, are being used now to advance a political agenda that will cause grave harm to the social fabric and to the institutions that are in fact best suited to protect Jews and all minorities. Deporting legal residents from our country without due process purely because we profoundly disagree with their views is un-American, my friends, and it will make neither Jews nor our democracy more secure. Defiling, denigrating, deleting, or selectively deploying the First Amendment won't make Jews safer. It will make the most foundational text of our democracy meaningless, and it will leave that foundation stone of our nation as nothing more than too heavy boulder in our hands. So let's not let go, not of our Jewish identity, not of our insistence on being safe, and also not on our most cherished American ideals. Because if we do, the tablets will once again be broken. Shabbat Shalom.